First of all, I would say that's a very special occasion for me to speak here because when I founded a cannabis importer and wholesaler back in June 2018, the first cannabis conference I went to was a Cannabis Business Europe in Frankfurt. And for me, that was such a learning curve. I had 2 days where I learned a lot, where I made a lot of networking. And so for me, it's great to be now in front of you and speak and give a talk here. Even though my topic is not as exciting as recreational, because we decided to speak about the current pharmaceutical world and how we treat medical cannabis in our disruptive cannabis ecosystem, which widens therapy options for patients and enables innovation. So even though the topic is a bit more, not as exciting as recreation, we thought at least we have a very long title. So, so let's get it going. That's a short overview. Somebody earlier said German's law of agenda. So the agenda is first that we start with a very short look on the market. Then we go into our disruptive cannabis ecosystem. And then I tell you a bit about the innovations we did. So I mean, the points about the market will be a bit boring for the Germans. Mostly things were already heard, but for the others it might be interesting, especially as we mainly talked about recreational so far. So this is a bit the setup in Europe. So this is the way or the timeline on which countries went legal in legal medical cannabis in Europe so far. And for us, the main important part is for sure Germany in March 2017, when the German Bundestag legalized medical cannabis in Germany. And yeah, lots of other countries followed, some were a bit earlier, and I think lots of other countries will follow, but also lots of other countries will follow the approach on Germany about going recreational or legal. So what we see that there are lots of, or there's a lot of growth in the imports of medical cannabis into the German market. So in 2017, we started with a figure of around 1,200 kilograms, growing year by year. 2020, there was a bit of, I would say, a more stable situation, but then a huge further growth in 2021. But this is not all product sold in pharmacies. Some is also re-exported or processed into dronabinol or also extract. So that's the way why it grew that much. But also the sales to pharmacies grow a lot. So also in 2016, and now you would argue, okay, but 2016 it wasn't even legal. There were some patients, like 1,000 patients, who had yeah, an allowance to do it on an exceptional basis, and there were already pharmacies taking care of these patients and enabling the market, which is great. And then in 2017, you see the big lift up and growing year by year on a very extensive basis. As we heard earlier in the talk of Cornelius from Demican, the price of the German grown cannabis is €4.30 when it comes to the pharmacies, but there's also product which is sold at €10.50, which is imported cannabis, or €10.52, which is imported cannabis, and everything in between, just to give you a rough estimation about the current German situation. What we see is when we're looking at GKV data, so from the German health insurers, the market is split up like the following. So 32% are for dried cannabis flower. Another 35% are for dronabinol. And dronabinol is an API. It's pure THC, above 95% of THC as a distillate. And then we also have the finished products, the finished pharmaceutical products, and the extracts. On the other, and that's mainly for patients receiving reimbursement from their health insurers. Then we also have another big part of the market, which is, we think it's around 50-50, which is for self-paying patients. And in self-paying patients, from our estimate, it looks quite different. The market is way more dominated by flower with 87%. It's a bit with what we also heard about our expectation for the recreational market, that a big part of the market will be flower. And it's, from our experience, the same in the self-paying market right now. And way less of these self-paying patients go for dronabinol extracts or finished pharmaceuticals. So that's a bit the split how we see the market. And now I want to show you how we see or what kind of opportunities there are when you have a more disruptive approach to the market than most of other companies do so far. So far, most of the companies did it like that. So they found a company exporting in another country. I mean, Netherlands, Bedrocan is very well known. There are now more than 80, 90 distributors importing medical cannabis from Bedrocan and selling it into the German market, but everyone just has a tiny bit. Then in the early days, there were companies importing product from Canada, like Pelanios did with Aurora and many others. And it works like that the company in your third-party country, so outside of the EU, is audited by an EU governmental organization, and going there and granting the EU GMP certificate, which allows the companies to export the product into Germany. This is something which usually takes a lot of time. I mean, it takes time to prepare your facilities for the EU GMP audit, to get an inspection date, and also to receive the inspection. So it takes definitely way more than a year. And then on the other part, you have the costs involved, which are also quite high because you need also an entity in Germany, being it your own entity when you found a GmbH or so, or you have a partner which imports the product in Germany and then is doing the distribution. And for that, for sure, you also need a GDP license or a GMP license if it's from a third-party country, and a narcotics license. So the barriers are quite high in terms of time and also money. So that's where Cantourage came in with the regulatory access program, how we call it, which is a unique way how to, or the first way how to bring product which is not EU GMP into the German market and transform it into EU GMP. So this allows the cultivation companies to really focus on what they can do best, which is cultivating great cannabis and really focusing on these points. I mean, for sure, there are also points companies need to do. So, I mean, you can't just grow whatever you want, use pesticides, or, you need to follow certain guidelines, which is mainly GACP, and for sure, you need to only use pesticides or fertilizers which are allowed in the EU and allowed to German standards, the German Pharmacopoeia or the European Pharmacopoeia. But this enables Cantourage, with this disruptive ecosystem, to bring in product from low-cost cultivation countries, but also really ultra-premium craft-grown product from countries or provinces like British Columbia, which is a very unique system. And then what we do is we bring in the product, we register it here, and we process it here, and we manufacture it here. So you can say made in Germany, so which ensures also that the product quality is completely in our hands, because we have our hands on the product, we process it in our facility, we have the GMP, we follow all our guidelines, which gives us way more safety than if we would only export the product, finally package, release it, and bring it to the market. So for us, this works really, really well. And it also enables patients to get more cost-efficient medication, because we can also source from countries which maybe can produce cheaper than countries like Canada. And this, for sure, is a platform which can also be used in the recreational market, depending on the guidelines of the government, which will be set up by the government. I mean, for sure, if it's only domestic grown product, it won't work. But I think it's quite likely that imports to Germany will be legalized and will be also needed to grow cannabis in a way that it's CO2 efficient, because I think just doing indoor cultivation in Germany is maybe not the best way to approach our environmental issues, and will not be good in terms of sustainability. So that's why we think imports should be allowed and probably will be allowed, but for sure with a certain frame so that the quality is ensured. So as said before, it were mainly just a few countries importing product or exporting product and from different regions in the world into Germany, and now we enabled countries like Jamaica, Uganda to bring product into Germany, which didn't happen before. And there will be lots of more countries to follow. And we'll see a way more diverse product portfolio, and also therefore more options for patients to find the right products with the right terpenes, so that it helps them best. As you can see, these are the first 10 products which were launched via the platform, from ranging from different regions all over the world, different THC grades, different terpenes, and some feedback we got via different channels, which is for sure not used for advertising in this kind of setup. It's just for information of the audience. But you can see it gives you, and I mean, we started with the FODMAP product like a year ago or a bit more, and it's now already 10 products from different cultivation sites all over the world. So you can also see the speed we can bring to the market and enable a broad portfolio. And then we're coming to the last part about the innovations. And you see, this is a dronabinol syringe. And maybe you know Cantourage from the dronabinol, which was the first product Cantourage brought to the German market. And this was not a new product. This was not an innovation in terms of product, but an innovation in terms of price. There was a monopolist in the market acting for a long period of time without any competition or really low competition, and Cantourage decided to bring a product at a way lower price in order to save costs for the health insurers, to save costs for the patients, and also to enable a competition in that market. And I mean, now when you look at the dronabinol market in Germany right now, it's very competitive, maybe already too competitive, I don't know. But what happened since Cantourage launched the product is quite substantial, I would say. And I think that's also something which shows that with such an approach Cantourage is having, that you also think outside of the box and try to do things differently than others. And just very recently, a new product was launched, which is a dronabinol already diluted into MCT oil. So the biggest pain point for pharmacies, for most pharmacies, maybe not the big ones who do it on a daily or weekly level, but the small ones, where patients go in, have a prescription for dronabinol. It was a very painful and thing for pharmacies to deal with it, because they needed the equipment. You need to heat up your dronabinol syringe with a hairdryer or in a heating chamber in order to ensure that it's liquid enough to get out of the syringe in your bottle to be mixed with the MCT oil. And this was also a barrier for many smaller pharmacies in smaller towns to even start a therapy option or give patients the therapy options of cannabis, and said maybe, oh, sorry, we can't do it, we don't know how to do it, or maybe we don't want to do it, and send patients away, which is a shame, because I think all pharmacies should dispense medical cannabis, dronabinol, and other products, And therefore, we thought, okay, what's the leverage? How can we ease the life of the pharmacists, or more the pharmaceutical technical assistants who actually do the preparation of dronabinol? And then, yeah, we came to the conclusion that if it's a already diluted solution, it would be way more easier. The feedback we're receiving is great. Yeah, lots of pharmacies who were hesitant to dispense dronabinol are now in the process of doing it, and we have a lot of inquiries, talking to a lot of pharmacies, and that's for us a really great signal and confirmation on what we did was the right thing to do. And just as I said, it's a way more simplified handling because you don't have to heat it, you don't have to weigh it, and you don't have to add the solvent like the MCT oil. And yeah, it's a mixture which is done according to the German DSC NRF 2028 monography, and something which really eases the process. And I think this presentation should give you quite a bit of a feeling on how you can act a bit differently, think outside of the box, maybe move a bit ahead, and behave differently, like all of the market is doing, in order to give patients more options, but also to make the life of the pharmacies easier. Because this is pharmacies are the contact point to the patients, are very important in the actual pharmaceutical framework. And that's something we want to facilitate. And we want to give pharmacies more time to focus on talking to patients and giving them the advice they need, rather than being in the laboratory and preparing stuff. So that's already mainly it. I tried to keep it as short and simple as possible, but as we have some more minutes, I'm happy to take any questions you might have.